All right, Chris, thank you for your time and,
You're welcome. We were meant to do this last time, and we've actually finally done this. The second time coming to Marbella, so
yeah, glad.
It's exciting.
To see you again, and so happy to talk to you about. Obviously, we've been chatting a lot all the time. Something happens with Fiverr, what's going on, and just sharing some thoughts. So yeah, for me, it's really valuable to have you because it's what your achievement on Fiverr is been very impressive. And as you know, it can always go up and down.
Exactly, but I think it's cool to meet other people who are I think too many people think that Fiverr, you can only make pennies on there, So it's very nice to meet other people who are making very good amounts of money, because it is possible. And there are multiple people doing it, It's not just like a one-off thing, We're not unicorns.
And it's amazing because, we have more stories now. So people are from all over the world are watching and they're getting inspired and they're like, okay, maybe I should start on Fiverr. Because it's true, we have niches like e-commerce, drop shipping, where a lot of hype around it, like you can make millions of dollars. In reality, it's probably going to be challenging. I feel like offering services is probably one of the best things that you can do, and especially even like our services are a bit different, but still, you found your customer base with your clients. I found it with my clients. So let's first talk about what is currently your monthly revenue on Fiverr on average right now.
Monthly. So maybe if let's go back, for example, like the start of the year, I would say I was averaging around $10,000 a month, anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 a month on Fiverr. But as of the last couple of months, things have taken, I would say, quite a drastic turn. So for example, last month I cleared just over $20,000 on Fiverr. This month already I think is somewhere over 15,000. And even right now, if I look at the app, I think I have just under $10,000. Yeah, just under $10,000 in active orders right now. So 9,150.
Yeah, so you probably will be somewhere similar as
I think this month it's been a little bit quieter than last month, but actually it's been a good thing because last month was crazy, to be honest.
And you told me as well, you're like, man, this is going crazy.
And I guess the problem with my service is that I always need to be in a location where I'm able to film and have a good setup and all of that. So last month it was hard because I went on vacation as well for like a week. So I had to make sure all my orders were done before going on vacation, and it was crazy. It was insane.
And we'll talk about, because your services are also like, it's kind of location focused a bit because you have to film your videos. I mean, you can go like here, but you need to make a setup. It's bring equipment, so it's a bit pain to do that. So, okay, 10K, 8 to 10K at the beginning. Now you pass to like 20K, and you're probably going to be maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. So let's talk about like how you broke the 10K mark, like how you actually reached that. Because most of the sellers, they're making like 1K, 2K, 3K, like up to 5K, and they think that they maxed out. But clearly not, because you are offering like a spokesperson videos, right? So what is your kind of like a breakthrough point to pass to that?
So 10K? I would say like, you made a very good point at the start. Like there are multiple ways to make money online. E-commerce, Shopify, building a community, or providing a service. And I do honestly believe providing a service is the easiest and maybe not the best, but one of the easiest ways to make money online. Because you are selling your service and getting something in return. Whereas Shopify, anybody can do. Anybody can go to YouTube and learn how to do it. And, it's so easily accessible. Whereas providing a service, it does take some effort because you don't have to be so skillful, but you need to learn something. You need some kind of skill. So providing a service, I would say there are some services. So for example, myself, I provide video content. And I think it's probably one of the best services to offer right now in regards to effort to reward ratio. So for example, I can sit down, I can film a 5-minute video and get paid $300.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think they're paying you that amount of money because of your editing skills, or it's just because your face there, or it's,
Pretty much, like, editing skills don't really come into it. So I stopped editing myself probably 3 years ago. At the start, I was editing myself and it was taking, quite some time. But generally now I don't edit myself at all. I've found a team, I've kind of, let's say, built a team in a way. But generally what people pay for, no, I wouldn't say. Now, yes, I have a bit of a portfolio so I can showcase that. But also I feel like video creation it's like a catch-22. If your face is maybe too many places, then some clients won't want to work with you. If you're working for, let's say crypto, it's a massive one. Let's say if you're working with like some kind of, crypto, coin, exchange or meme coin, whatever. Then any other crypto one in the same kind of competition is not really going to work for you. If they've seen your face on one platform, they're not going to want to work for you because they don't want to, say, compete. So then it's like, okay, I've just lost work. So you are going to have these situations. The same, for example, I've had it before, like web hosting companies. So where they're doing like affiliate links and they're offering web hosting. Because I am on one or two of them already, working with one or two, other ones won't want to work with me because obviously I'm on their competitor's website already. So that's where the catch-22 comes in. So I don't know, video content is a great one because the reward to effort ratio is so big, I would say.
But it's also because, they're seeing like a valuable asset when you create the video for them. This is not just like, okay, I don't know, here's videos to edit, you edit them, you send them. No, you're like, doing it authentically from your side. You have maybe a script they send you, or they tell you like, okay, this is what we want to do. You do this video, and then this video, they put it on their website, on their YouTube, and then this video will actually bring them, let's say, sales or transformation. So whenever we sell something that can produce transformation, that's where the clients are willing to pay more. So that's why
100%.
I think this is one of the most important as well points, and that's why you are, I would say, going successfully, because first you build your, let's say, personal brand on Fiverr because you have your acting skills, your communication, your image as well, so people want to work with you. And second, do you feel do you see that they're coming back to you, or do you see that not as much?
So in my line of work, like in my service, I rely a lot more on new customers rather than repeat. I still get very high repeat rates. Like even on Fiverr, I've got the little, the 95%, over the 95% mark of repeat clients. But generally, I do rely a lot on new clients. And for example, I get messages every single day. Pretty much every day, I'll have at least 4 to 6 new clients contact me. Of course, I might not be able to close all of them, but normally, realistically, I would say pretty much every day we're looking at 2 to 3 new orders a day. But new customers 100%. There are repeats, but generally repeats are a lot smaller because the service is relatively expensive. Creating video content is not cheap, like not with me anyway, because it's still a case I have to set everything up. I have to record, and then it goes into the editor, or it goes to my editing team. They also need to be paid. So it's not like, and especially if a client wants me to create the script as well, that's my time. I need to sit down and create a script for them.
Do you charge for?
100%.
Nice.
I'm not a big fan of script writing, I have to be honest. Like the motivation I need to write a script is insane. But I will always charge for it. The more complex it is, normally script writing is done, I normally do it by duration of the video and the complexity. Like if it's a case that I have to do a screencasting tutorial video where I have to go through the website and then I have to, go through the process myself to be able to write the script simultaneously, I will charge more money just because it's a lot more effort, takes more time. I've tried to look for script writers in the past. I've worked with 1 or 2 of them, but to find a script writer who understands like your, let's say, tone of voice and the way you speak, and it's difficult, because, for example, I'll use certain words a lot more than other people would, or I have a certain way of speaking and that's my style. So finding a script writer who doesn't just use, let's say, AI and just has these very boring sentences is difficult, you know? So I've kind of given up on that, and I generally script write myself. I do use AI. So I've actually found a little tip. I found perplexity.ai.
Yeah, you remember you were showing me.
Probably, I've stopped using ChatGPT altogether. I'm just not a fan. But perplexity.ai, I find is probably the best for writing at the moment. That's the one that I use. And of course, you can't just, whatever it throws at you, you can't just use straight away. You need to edit it yourself as well. But yeah, so this is the thing, like there's always new customers because the price of the service. Some customers can afford it and they do have a budget, but a lot of customers, they're not so willing to put down, let's say, even for a 1 minute video, $200-$300 for a 1 minute video.
I mean, you're putting your services on the same level as like a website development in some way, and for website development, of course, they have to sit there and, there's a bunch of details. With your service, it's a bit easier. I think there is a less like back and forth. Like once you have all the information, you just sit down, record. Do you see people say like, hey, Chris, this is shit, we want to do all over again? Do you say like, yeah, this is good?
So I think like some clients will come to me and they will want everything. And when I say everything, they want me to tell them, hey, this video I give you is gonna get sales. Guaranteed sales, guaranteed your ROI is gonna be amazing. I can't promise that,
Yeah, of course.
It's the video, there are so many different ways to make a video, especially now with like TikTok and Instagram, the UGC style video. There are multiple different ways that you can create a video. And this is what a lot of clients don't understand. Like I can create a talking head video and yeah, it could perform really well. Or we could create a typical UGC style video where I'm just using a mobile phone and that could perform a lot better because it's more organic. But there are so many different ways to create a video and you never really know which one's, say, gonna perform the best. I advise them, and sometimes I tell them if they are in that point where they literally don't know what they want, I say, hey, if you've got the budget, let's create 2 or 3 different types of video, all in different styles, and you can test them.
And you offer different, right? So you offer like a spokesperson, you offer like UGC, so you have multiple options.
Exactly. So now I have, I think, 9 different gigs, and it's like green screen, let's say just talking head. Then, for example, I got the professional podcaster mic, the Shure SM7B, and then I made a gig like, okay, podcast gig, So they have multiple different options.
You have also medical, I think, something like
so I did the medical green screen one. I saw this was popular on Fiverr a while ago, and I've got like the doctor's lab coat and all of that. Generally, it's not the most popular gig right now. I get a couple of orders on it now and then. The same with green screen. Green screen has dropped off kind of quite dramatically.
Yeah, because the content has changed, I think.
Yeah, like green screen used to be really popular. Now, not so much. Generally, the more natural backgrounds are a lot better. A lot of people just want you sitting on a sofa or at a desk. If you have a cool home office background, people are really happy with that. So even in my studio back home, so I would say it's about 20 square meters, but I've kind of kitted it out and decorated it in a way that I can have about 4 or 5 different setups in 20 square meters. So people get a choice, On one side, we've got a TV screen so we can shoot with their, logo or website on the TV. On the other side, it's more of a blank wall. We've got all different RGB lighting so they can use their own brand colors. So it's kind of like trying to cater to multiple different people. And just like create something different, so it's not always the same. Yeah,
that's good. You have multiple services, you have multiple setups. I think like when clients come to you, they might come from even like the doctor, for example, setup, and then they're like, oh, we actually want to have you to do like a more natural, proper way. So let's take the Fiverr and just talk a little bit about, do you feel if we take away Fiverr, the ranking, the traffic they send you, can you do this business without Fiverr? Like, is it possible for you?
You could do it. Would I make as much? I think I could get to that stage, yes, but it would definitely take longer. Like, the thing is with Fiverr, you have multiple people coming to search for you and then they find you. Whereas if you had a website, you've got to somehow draw traffic to that website. So you have to run ads or something. And yeah, that is going to be a lot harder, because let's say, even like if I think about it, if you try to target an audience of people who want video creation services, I wouldn't even know where to begin, to run ads for that kind of thing, like where to begin to target those precise people. Then you have to think, okay, now I want to aim for small businesses, medium businesses. On Fiverr, you don't have to do that because they just come to you.
Yeah.
So if we took away Fiverr right now, it wouldn't be very good for me. A lot of the income is on Fiverr, and this is what I'm working on currently to diversify, because I think that's also the biggest mistake, is having all your income through Fiverr, because Fiverr is a platform and you are basically a number, yeah? They don't care about you that much. Like if you break a rule, that's it. They can kick you off just like that.
Yeah.
You don't really get a second chance. They can kick you off. Come on, they make a ridiculous amount of money. Your income, and I see this, many people have this issue. They think they're making $2,000-$3,000. And I was like this before, like a while ago. But you think you're making $2,000-$3,000 and you're like, yeah, look, I'm making Fiverr so much money. Why would they want to kick me off the platform? And then you realize there are people making a shitload more than that, like $2,000-$3,000 is like, I don't know, chump change, it's when there's people making $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month from the platform.
Yeah, or even more, and imagine looking at me, like I made over $2 million in Fiverr, so I gave them like almost like $500,000 in commissions, like the 20% they're taking. So it's pretty insane, how much they're getting. But it's true, I agree with you. Like for me, I'm also the same, on the same boat in terms of like, at any time I have a mistake or something and I break the rule and they see that I break the rule, I will get, banned, and that's pretty much it. And I've seen my friends like who are also being dependent on Fiverr, they got banned, they tried to come back, create another account, and it's always a bit a tricky game because, eventually you can, it's against Fiverr, you can get away in some ways, but it's not the route that you should eventually, try to trick the system, because you will get hit again.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a borderline, and it's good that you mentioned, because I agree that, it's harder to, in your services, to be like, okay, for who I'm doing it, like you need to target like very specific group of people, you need to run ads, you need to have a website, you need to have some personal brand maybe, or a good engaging social media. So it takes a lot of this.
It takes a lot of effort and a lot more money. Right now, Fiverr, do you advertise? No, you don't.
Just the promoted gigs.
Exactly, promoted gigs. And actually, I want to get onto that later because I want to ask you about that. But yeah, even like the promoted gigs is one option. But you think the amount of money you would spend on like Google Ads, it would be absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think Fiverr is great, but you do have to be very careful. And multiple people have asked me like, why don't you get somebody to respond to your Fiverr messages for you and all of this? Purely, simple reason, I don't trust anybody with my Fiverr account. I know, for example, you have like a team and you have people who can access your Fiverr account. But for me to be able to trust somebody 100%, to know that they're not going to write the wrong thing in a message, which is going to get flagged. Because how do you explain to Fiverr? Oh yeah, sorry, it was one of my team members.
It's true.
They're not going to care.
I was very close to, like, my team member was about to send something that is like, a very borderline. And it's very hard to control these things, because once the message gets sent, you're screwed. So for me, we'll talk about that on when you will ask me. But I think I'm managing it so far so good, but it's a very tricky situation. Let's talk a little bit about your team. So you mentioned that you have a team who helps you with the editing, right? How does it look like now? So you have on the front end, you're communicating, right?
Exactly. So I deal with everything Fiverr, clients, I deal with getting the jobs, that's all me. So this is the one thing about it, like, you are on your phone a lot, responding to messages. So right now, obviously, we're in Marbella and I'm kind of on vacation. And there are messages that I haven't responded to, or I'm just saying, hey, thanks for reaching out, I'll get back to you in a bit. Because when I'm on vacation, I kind of like tried to turn off work mode a little bit. But basically, yeah, so my team right now, I just have a team of editors. So I found him on Upwork. So that's where I first reached out. Personally, Fiverr, I'm not a big fan of Upwork either, but finding good people on Fiverr, and we're on Fiverr, so it's difficult to say this, but finding good people on Fiverr, I find is difficult. Yeah. So for example, let's say you want a thumbnail designer. Okay, cool. You can find somebody on Fiverr who's charging a decent price of, between $10 to $20.
Yeah.
But if they're good, they have like 80 orders in queue,
Yeah.
And then you become a number. And when I want a team, I don't want to work with them on Fiverr. For me, WhatsApp communication works the best.
Yeah.
And that's how we communicate all the time. So basically I found him on Upwork. I worked with him a couple of times on Upwork. And then it got to the point I was like, hey, let's just work outside and we'll communicate. And I find on Upwork, it's easier to get people off of the platform.
I think it's actually allowed in some way because you can have like a contract and then they can be part of like Slack. I'm not exactly sure, but it's definitely a bit more like flexible with these things.
So yeah, we started working together and this was probably like 3 years ago now. And again, like the editing level, it's very good. And it got to a point, like even right now, I would say I'm his best, his best client. Even though I class him as part of the team, but still he has other clients for editing, that kind of stuff. But I give him the majority of his work.
Yeah, and he pays attention more to you. Like he puts you in a higher priority as well.
To be honest, I would say I've kind of found a unicorn in a way that, and he will be watching this, well, he edited this. But basically, he's fantastic in regards to kind of his responsibility. I can message him anytime. If I need a video edited in a couple of hours, majority of the time he'll do it. He understands the freelancing aspect that, there are tight deadlines and things like that. He completely understands that. And he's very much on top of it. He's very much like work, money orientated. Yeah. Whereas there are too many other freelancers, and I see this all the time. People contact me on Instagram and say, hey, I want to edit your reels or something like that. I'm like, okay. Or some of them will be like, I'll do the first one for free. I'm like, okay, sure. Go for it, yeah? Give it to him. Don't hear from him in a week. I message him, I'm like, just wondering where it's got to. Oh yeah, I'll be with you soon. Yeah. Like, come on, if you want to reach out and you can't even do this in a week, why am I going to work with you? There's no point. Yeah. True. So he is, he's very on the ball.
Where he's from?
He's actually from Indonesia. So I've been to Bali. I've met him as well. We met up, I think last year it was. And really cool guy actually. He's now building out his team. Now he's got a team of like 5 or 6 editors. Yeah. So I think I have roughly about 3 editors dedicated purely to my work. Yeah. It just works really well. If I need him on the weekend, he's normally there. I try not to do so much because, we all want a weekend. But generally, he's just on the ball. And
I think these partnerships are the best because, you're not bringing him in-house, not necessarily because in-house you need to pay like the salary, you have, all of the other aspects and maybe you don't have as much work and you still have to pay him. But with him, it's a bit different because it's a partnership. So he has you as a client, you have him as like a partner and, eventually it's maybe a healthier relationship.
Yeah. So exactly, this is the thing as well. So I thought about this, I think maybe half a year ago or a year ago. I thought, okay, maybe I can just pay him a salary and this would kind of work out better for me later on, like down the line. And I thought maybe I'll just pay him a salary, ask him if he's interested in working just for a salary, set amount, because right now I pay him per project. And, but to be honest, now, I'm so busy that, I don't think he would go for a salary. Yeah. It's more worthwhile going for projects than a salary because also with projects, there's more motivation. Yeah. I had a thumbnail designer who I was paying a salary to every month. And it was hard work, Yeah. So I ended up changing that deal with him and this thumbnail designer. I said, look, I'm going to pay per thumbnail. And then he tried to negotiate the price on the thumbnail that I was the price I was offering. I said, I'm not negotiating here. You haven't proved yourself in this time when I'm paying you a salary. So I'm not gonna pay you more money until you do prove yourself. I'm happy to pay more, but you have to prove yourself, Yeah. And in the end, it just fizzled out. He just he was just slow or not responding. Yeah. If I send a WhatsApp message, I don't expect to wait 24 hours for a response. It's crazy. So yeah, building a team is hard, I would say.
So you have him, like his team, that's the main core of your team that you're using to help you with the journey. Do you have someone else at the moment? Or?
No, so basically the only other people I'd really need in my team would be a script writer. But again, like I say, I've never found anybody really good enough. And also what would be fantastic is somebody actually in the studio with me who sets up, like does the setups, like sets up the cameras, everything like that. That would be amazing. But I do that all myself right now. So basically my responsibility is go into the studio, get the scripts from the clients, stick it in the teleprompter, do the setup, whatever they want, wear the outfit, whatever they want, whether it's like casual, semi or formal, record, and then literally just pretty much, I normally do the cuts myself and then export it, upload it to Google Drive, and now my editor's got access to it. And then he just does his thing. I don't want to really bother watching the edits afterwards because it just takes too much time. So I normally trust him and send it to the client. This has backfired a few times. And it normally backfires when we get really busy and the jobs are rushed. That's the only time it really backfires. And of course there's some typos, but I'm cool with that because, I understand English is not their first language, even though his English is fantastic. But English is not their first language, so I'm cool with typos. Even I would make typos.
No, this is great, and I think this is also inspiring for others because probably people who are at the 2K, 3K, they're probably doing everything themselves, and that's this shift that you eventually have to make because you cannot be the only one who is doing that. And for you, I think like having a project manager or someone who can be controlling their work, quality and checking all of this stuff, plus maybe on the communication side, I think that's gonna probably free up a lot of your time and you can just focus on, okay, you're just filming and then maybe you can bring some other people as well and you can give your clients like, okay, I have this guy or this girl that, can also do these types of videos.
I think exactly. And I think like, if you want to be a successful freelancer without a team, it's hard, you can't physically do everything yourself. So you do need to build a team. I think maybe the most difficult thing is when you start building that team, people don't really want to work with you until you have enough work for them, like they'll work for you or with you, but you won't be a priority for them unless you have enough work to give them. So, now, for example, with my editor, he gets work pretty much every day. So he relies on me for his income. And for me, that's actually quite a good position to be in because he prioritizes me over others. But when you are just starting out and trying to find somebody, I think you will find that difficult to find somebody who's willing to dedicate their time to you at the very start if you don't have enough work to give them.
But that's why you also search for people and find these collaborations, and it takes a lot of time. It can be good, it can be bad. And I wanted to ask you moving forward, what do you hate the most about Fiverr?
I would say, to be honest, this is a hate-love relationship here. So basically, I hate that you become a slave to the platform. 100% you become a slave. So, and what I mean by that is Fiverr has so many statistics that go against you. If you don't respond to a client in time, if you deliver late. The fact when I was flying over here, I lost a $750 order because the client cancelled because I was 1 day late. Even though I'd already recorded and it was in editing, he decided to cancel the order. And when you're late, there's no dispute option. They can't dispute it. The client has the right to just cancel and that's it, end of job. So there are a lot of things like that where you do become a slave to the platform.
But don't you think that keeps you accountable at the same time?
Exactly. So this is what I want to say actually, because obviously Fiverr introduced the success score a while ago. And at first I was completely against this. I thought this is a terrible idea. But looking at it, even from a freelancer standpoint, it's a great idea. Because the fact is, those people who are level 1, level 2, even top rated, once you're say top rated, you can never really lose that. Unless you do something quite drastically bad,
Yeah.
you would never really lose that. But now with the success score, you do. You know, because there is a boundary. So for example, even right now, my success score, it dropped from a 10 to a 9. If I go under 9, I lose the top rated, you know, and I'll drop down to level 2. And that for me is like, holy shit. I have to be very careful, you know?
Yeah.
So I do have to respond to people on time. And now it's been over a month and I've been on like number 9 success score. And I'm on the line. If I go to number 8, that's it.
Why do you think you dropped to 9? Is it because of the late?
To be honest, I have a couple of theories here. So I don't know exactly. Obviously, you can click on the success score button and you can see,
it's, you know,
exactly. You can see what your gigs are doing. I have a theory that I uploaded 2 new gigs, and actually once I clicked on the success score, they were getting, because they were relatively new, their ranking was not 10 out of 10. Like they were down low. So I don't know if that played into it. I'm not sure. But it could also be that I'm maybe a little bit delayed on responding to some clients. So I don't know exactly, and it's very difficult to know. And if you speak to Fiverr customer support, you'll just say that, oh, there's so many metrics that go into it. You know, that's a normal response.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but the success score, it does keep you accountable, and it means that you have more of a chance as a freelancer, because those people who are level 2 and now don't put in any effort, or maybe stopped even working on the platform, rather than them stay at level 2, they will drop down, you know?
Is there, sorry to interrupt, is there anything else besides the metrics and besides the stats and keeping you kind of like slave in some way? Is there something that is like missing, or something is not working and you're just so like bothered about it all the time?
I wouldn't say exactly. Like some people might complain about the 20% commission. Yeah. But again, like you could look at this like the amount of clients they bring you, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good maybe to complain about it, because at the end, you know, you're getting traffic, you're getting...
But generally, no. I would say my biggest thing is just how you become, like once you're on the platform, to progress on the platform, you have to put in the effort, you know? That's the biggest thing I'll say. Even competition. A lot of people complain about competition, but if there's more competition in your niche, it just shows that there's a high demand for what it is you're doing. Yeah. You know? So it's like, if there's a high demand, now you just have to figure out how to stand out from your competition, which is normally quite easy. You know, like you just have to think outside the box. You can't just copy everybody else. Yeah. But no, apart from that, I would say that's my biggest hate to it, is that, you just become like addicted. Pretty much. Mate, I think Fiverr is probably I'm 100% sure it's in the top 3 applications that I use every day, you know? Yeah. Like if you see how much time I probably spend on the application on my phone, it's,
you know, it's funny because like my wife Mila, she's also part of my workflow process. She is handling content and she helps me with the communication too. Every time, because I wake up earlier than her, and every time I go and like, you know, wake her up that, you know, we need to go to breakfast or something, she takes her phone, she checks the time, and then the first thing she does, she goes to Fiverr.
100%.
And she checks, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of happy that she's caring about it, you know, as well, but I'm also like, shit, this is really gets in people's mind, you know?
Honestly, same thing. I wake up in the morning, I don't even get out of bed, and I, you know, check Fiverr. And this is what I did on the first, let's say, 2 years of my Fiverr journey. 3 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up. Just if I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, check my phone. Yeah. Because I would get messages from like the US market at that time, because of time zones, I would start responding to messages. Because if I saw those online, I was like, I could possibly close a deal here and I could get paid, And very often I did, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, just while I'm in bed, literally just leaning over the side of the bed. And again, my partner, Joanna, like there are times, of course, like when they would hate the amount of time you spend on the phone, or, you know, there are some occasions, like even if we're with her family, let's say, and, you know, I start responding to a message. She's not happy about it. But I'm like, but this kind of pays for our lifestyle, you know, like this pays for the living, you know? So the fact that I have to be on the phone a little bit gives us what we've got now. And now she's working on Fiverr and has been for like the last year. She understands that, you know? She's still not to the point I would like her to be in regards to making the amount of effort that she should be, but she does understand and she gets it as well that she has to respond to clients if she wants to make money.
And that's good because you have your balance together and she understands the work, she understands the money value, and it's great for that. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, so for all the freelancers people are watching, they're also maybe curious like what you can recommend, like what would you say from your side, just is it maybe too late to go on Fiverr? Is it too late to offer your kind of service because you already have reviews? Is Fiverr Pro necessary for them to succeed it or not? Like, what would you just say, maybe like few points that every freelancer should remember to be successful?
I would say it's not too late for Fiverr, but I feel like it very much depends on the service that you offer, if Fiverr is the right platform for you. Sometimes Upwork will be more beneficial depending on what you offer. For example, if you're a website designer, I would personally say Upwork would be better.
Yes.
If you work in cybersecurity or something like that, Upwork would be better because you will be on a much longer term contract. You have to think about your service and your niche. If your service is a gig-based service, and what I mean is if it starts and it finishes, job done, like within a week or 2 weeks, Fiverr is the way to go. But if it's a longer term thing where, like cybersecurity consultant or something like that, Upwork is definitely the way to go. There are other freelance platforms, but I think Fiverr and Upwork dominate. I don't think it's too late. And even for those people that say that there's a lot of competition, there might be. But the fact is that, like I mentioned a moment ago, if there's a lot of competition, it means there's a lot of demand, Of course, some services, if you're a thumbnail designer, it's going to be hard because you're charging $5 or $10, and that is tough. I personally wouldn't recommend thumbnail design because it's a case that volume, you need to have volume to make money, and that's going to take up a lot of your time. But you need to look at services which are popular right now, I would say. So for me, I would say, video content is one. Editing is another one. But then with editing, the issue is anybody can become an editor. That is the biggest issue. But you can stand out as an editor if you want. And when I say editing, for example, I've recommended this before. Don't just become a video editor. Specialize in something. Is it podcast video editing? Is it, talking head video editing? Is it, wedding video editing? Like specialize in something and create different gigs around those specialities rather than just general video editor. Because nobody is a good all-rounder. They're just not. They're good at one thing. And even becoming a good video editor for talking head videos is hard, I think, It's so I would say generally Fiverr is the best place to go, but once you get to maybe $5,000 a month, try to diversify, and I would say the biggest and best way to do that is through social media. Start growing your brand, and this I think is what a lot of people need to do. They need to start growing their own brand, and it can just be their personal brand, give yourself a name or whatever, but build out your social media because you will be surprised the amount of people that do find you on social media, and then you can start building outside of Fiverr as well. So this is what I would say kind of needs to be done. But realistically, the first thing I'd say is look at the service you offer, figure out which platform is going to be best. And again, that's just market research.
And how long you want to give the, let's say, relatively new freelancer to see results? Like, should they say, honestly, 1 month?
First month.
First month?
First month. Again, I guess this depends on the service you offer, but 1 month. So for example, when Joanna started she's doing video as well, like video content creation. Her first month, she made just over $1,500.
That's insane.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously she's Polish. And honestly, my thinking straight away was that there wouldn't be such a demand on the Polish market because the Polish population is in Poland anyway, 35 million people. Yeah, it's relatively small. And I thought, how many of those actually even know about Fiverr? But generally 70% of her clients are Polish and she works mostly in Polish. So you'd be surprised, you don't have to have good English. English is not a must. Offer a service in your native language. you know, because people will want it. But yeah, the first month, realistically, you should be able to start ranking yourself within the first, I would say, couple of weeks. But the first month, again, depending on the service you offer, I would at least try and aim for $500. Like, you should be able to. Yeah. You really should. But yeah, like I say, if you're a thumbnail designer, it's got to be harder, you know. Yeah. But then focus just on orders and feedback.
Yeah, and finding that high value skill, you know, like you said, I think that's the key. And then eventually give yourself time and don't rush. And I think good things will happen.
Yeah.
So Chris, I think it was a great stuff. I really enjoyed it. So a lot of great feedback. So I think for everyone who's watching, it's going to be useful. And if you guys have any questions, I will link Chris' channel as well, all of his stuff. He's also doing consulting.
Exactly. We're in a competition at the moment as well. So any video he doesn't upload, he pays me $100 for. So
yeah, and it's vice versa as well. So I actually have to probably, before they watch this one, I will upload one of mine, which I need to record as soon as possible. But yeah, so all the links about Chris, his Fiverr profile, if anyone interested to order your video services, or if they want to get in touch, like a consulting about their freelancing journey and just get help, Chris has the audits, right?
Yeah, and so then something I recently started, like gig audits and stuff like this. Something I need to push more, and this is part of my diversifying plan.
Which is great. I mean, you said it's still bringing you like maybe a few hundred.
I haven't,
per month or?
I started it probably a month ago, or a month and a half, 2 months ago. I haven't pushed it really at all. Yeah. And I've already made, I don't know, somewhere over $600 from it. So I'm pretty
amazing.
happy with that.
Why not? You know, so all the links there. And if you have any questions, you can also reach out to Chris.